forget the day we met. Your eyes so blue, me piercing through. I can't forget the day we met. Your smile so bright, it made me swoon. I love it.
Well, hello there. This is Titus Nietzsche Anderson for SovRumano.com. How are you guys doing today? It has been a while since I have shot a welcome video to the company's homepage here at SovRumano.com, and so I wanted to welcome everybody here to the website. This is a great resource for your competitive play, your life play, and your social play. Every Monday through Friday, there is a daily stratagem posted there at the top of the page that will give you one new idea to experiment with and to apply to different areas of your life. Like I mentioned, socially, competitive play, business play, and things like that. There are also free video casts and trainings here where I have posted about $2,000 to $3,000 worth of my own ideas that you can go through, and I posted those there for you free of charge. In addition to that, there are also blogs here that you can read through. Some of them go back over the same material, but if a written format works better for you, then it's there for you as well. So I wanted to make a few quick announcements. I don't like to commingle my personal life with my business life, but they're kind of intertwined with each other and they're almost inseparable. And because of the issues in my personal life, they have bled over and they've influenced who I've become as a person, and as a gamer and as a player, so to speak. So there's a few things that I did want to cover here with everyone, specifically for people here in Los Angeles. The first one is that I'm having problems with the Sheriff's Department. I think it's the Sheriff's Department and African American community. To the best of my knowledge, I think that the sheriffs are the ones responsible for sending African Americans after me into different neighborhoods that I currently reside in. If you don't know what I'm talking about and haven't been following my story up to this point in time, you can turn off the video because I've covered everything that you need to know. What I'm covering now is just for people who happen to live in the Los Angeles area and who happen to be following the soap opera with regards to my life and with regards to the illegal police involvement and harassment of my person in my life. But if you want to stay on board for the next 10-15 minutes, then you can do that, but it's not really necessary. Okay, so I'm getting death threats and other intimidations to move. And the rationalization for this is supposedly because I'm intoxicated, or that I've been making a mess somehow, or I'm bothering members of the community out here, or something like that. These things are flagrantly false. I'm actually from these neighborhoods. I'm not a homeless person. And not only that, but it's actually the opposite. But before I get into that, let me explain one other thing to you. The program that I am trapped in unlawfully, without due process, without an attorney, without an exit date, while they claim that I'm in the military or with mental health problems or incarcerated or have a felony background, whatever doesn't have civil rights, that's what he is, supposedly. But the nickname for this project is Operation Bird Dog. And for the last 17 years, I have been chased around from city to city and from state to state all over the United States, from Orlando, Florida, to Phoenix, to Los Angeles, San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley, and I ran through Mexico temporarily. I was running for my life, literally, through different cities and states for several years. Part of the project is to keep me moving, or to find excuses to move me. I used to get like assaulted, or they would insinuate that I had been poisoned or something, and then they try to rush you out the door, or chase you onto a Greyhound bus, and then you take off. And then that's how they attempt to manslaughter you or to kill you. So this act or this intimation to move doesn't have anything to do with my conduct. It has more to do with false flags, intimidation, harassment, and things like that. And there are plenty of people in Phoenix, Arizona who can authenticate this, who were also required to try to get me to move, to get on the bus, get off the bus, to get on the Greyhound, get off the Greyhound, go to 7-Eleven or the convenience store, come back, go back outside, and things like that. It doesn't have anything to do with my personal conduct. However, I thought it would be funny if I would show you what has actually happened here in Los Angeles since I moved into this area. Now, I've been in the Skid Row area for about 5 years and 3 months approximately that I've been homeless out here in this area. For the first 2 to 2.5 years, I was sleeping indoors in a dormitory. When I was indoors, they would try to harass me outside for no reason. They'd bump into the bunk bed, they'd try to wake me up, or they tried to start a fight, and it goes on all of the time. So I decided to go ahead on my own to move outside, which I've done. And I've been out here for 2.5 years. It's one of the best things I've ever done. And I won't go into details about that during this video cast, but some other time. I'll explain why that is. But curiously enough, what happened is that African Americans were sent after me into these neighborhoods. And I used to go to Santa Monica a lot as well. I haven't been there in a while, but I used to spend the night out there, and I used to draw or listen to music or just watch the waves roll in or window shopping and things like that. I also used to live out there before this project started. Not live out there, but work out there. Anyway, I thought it would be funny if I would show you what has happened in these neighborhoods ever since they sent African Americans after me into this neighborhood. I'm at approximately Temple and Hill, and I have been living within this area for about 2.5 years, within 1 block or within 100 yards of this intersection. And I want you to take a look at the next video and see what has happened. All right, what you're looking at here is the intersection at Temple and Hill. This is the music center, and I have been living within a block of this neighborhood, a block of this intersection, for about 2.5 years. However, over the last 2.5 years, I've had a lot of African Americans follow me into this neighborhood. And this is not the only neighborhood that they have followed me into. They also followed me into the Los Angeles Public Library on the 2nd floor downstairs. There was no one there before, and I used to go there all of the time. They filled up the 2nd floor downstairs. They ruined the carpet, the desks, the chairs. They tore up books and magazines in the bathrooms and the bathroom doors. They flooded the toilets and they broke tile. What you're looking at in this video are driveways and doorways, walkways where I used to sleep at some point over the last 2.5 years that I don't sleep at anymore because they were filled up with urine or feces or cigarette butts and so forth. Because of their following me up here, they have now installed fog lights. Those fog lights were not there before when I was first here 2.5 years ago. No one ever knew that I had been up here for so long. I'm extremely quiet and I'm extremely clean. You wouldn't know that I was here because I usually leave by about 5:30 in the morning. This is the only place that I can find now where I can charge up my devices for my smartphone, my tablet, and the spare battery. And they've also followed me down here. You can see there's urine there on the floor that has dried up. and debris and things like that. So that right there is a $1 billion valuation right there on the floor. Isn't that amazing? My time is probably worth, I don't know, $30,000 an hour, but I get interrupted all of the time. All right, so did you get an eyeful there of what's going on? Fortunately, there wasn't any feces or urine. Well, there were some urine stains there, but it wasn't that bad. Believe me, it can be really bad with the feces, McDonald's wrappers, busted bottles, beer cans, cigarette butts that have been put out in the urine, and things like that. I'm not responsible for that type of behavior. I don't bother other people. I am one of these people, and I'm from these neighborhoods, as I've said several times before. So those intimations that I'm to move, or the neighborhood said move, or things like that, are fabricated and are most likely coming from the sheriff's department, who is fabricating or creating reasons to keep me moving, I guess, for another 17 years, if he can get away with it. I mean, sure, why not? So there's a couple of things I wanted to advise people of, just FYI, for your information. Because I am illegally detained, my situation is a lot more serious than a practical joke, or even misdemeanor harassment or felony harassment. If you harass me to move without being a uniformed deputized officer who gives me a legal valid reason why I need to move, then you can't move me, and you shouldn't attempt to move me. Now, if I'm on somebody else's property, as I am right now, and a security guard comes by and says, I need to ask you to leave, I always leave. It's not a problem whatsoever. I know what the rules and laws are. I know when I'm on somebody else's property and things like that. That's not the issue. The issue is attempting to bully me. So there's a few things that I wanted to cover with you just real quick. Number one, don't try to move me. If you're not uniformed, deputized, and armed, don't try to move me. I am considered armed and dangerous by the police. I have 2 attempted murders in my background, and the last 2 got away from me. But I will kill you if I have to. It's not a big deal to me. All right. Number 2, don't brag about crimes against my family. I have seen African Americans make some of the dumbest moves imaginable when they brag about crimes against my family, because this guy is so hungry for status or to have something to say to prove that he's a big bad guy, that he literally takes the credit for a hate crime against 2 innocent people that he's not responsible for. And it's not impressive. It's the dumbest thing that you could possibly do to the victim of the hate crimes, their son, because he's not tied up. He's not tied down. He's not in the penitentiary. So to brag to him that you have done something to his family, or that you are a part of some group that does these things, a hate group, the sheriff's department, ethno cops, Ku Klux Klan, Golden Dawn, whatever it is, it doesn't make a lot of sense, and you're not making a badass out of yourself. You're just kind of making an ass out of yourself. And I'm not speaking about all African people, obviously. I'm part African. My dad is all African. He may have a little bit of Caucasian in him. And he was also disabled. My dad had, his left arm was paralyzed, his left leg was paralyzed. He only had a right arm and a right leg, and he was able to walk. And he was a lifelong volunteer worker for 30 years. He's ex-Air Force. And he had an IQ of about 100 points. He wasn't particularly gifted, very average, but he worked 40 hours a week. We drove a Volvo. We had Commodore 64, an Apple, a waterbed, a black leather couch, red carpet, glass coffee table, Boris to play chess with. We had HBO. We had all sorts of things. And, you know, that was my dad taking care of me as a single parent and also being one of Jehovah's Witnesses. He also went to his meetings on Tuesday night and Thursday night, and I was with him, obviously. And then we went on field service and Saturday mornings. And then we had church again on Sundays, what you guys would call church services. I am not a Jehovah's Witness anymore. I haven't been one in 28 years. I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses up until the age of about 23. But I am now 51, and I will be 52 years old in May. So that was a long time ago, and my father has since passed away. But he doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. And so the idea that you've got it out for my family or me, it doesn't make any sense because we don't know you and we don't have any business with you. Okay, number 3, don't imply that my food is poisoned or that something's wrong when I'm standing in the bread line. Number 4, don't look for me in the bread line and then cut in front of me. They do this so consistently, I'm surprised that the Bureau or that the police or internal affairs hasn't caught it, because it's a non-verbal that they're going to cut your food off or that your food is being cut off. And number 5, don't imply that I'm going to have a heart attack or something like that. Okay? All right. This brings me to the second reason for my recording this video, and that is that I have been sucker punched a few times. Now, the last time I've been sucker punched probably twice in the last 12 months. The last one hit me in the side of the head here, and it bruised me pretty badly and had blood coming down. And the first one, within the last 12 months, some guy hit me and it broke my nose this way, or is it this way? This way? It broke my nose this way and it tore my lip off from the punch, or this way. So I didn't see it coming whatsoever, and I didn't see the guy who did it either. So my nose is still broken, but it broke it this way. I've been sucker punched in Phoenix, Arizona as well. My mom, who is disabled, my dad was disabled. He became severely disabled, like somebody with Alzheimer's, as he got older. He may have also been sucker punched while he was bedridden, as well as in the hospital. And my mom may have been sucker punched as well. She died pretty violently, losing her 4 front teeth and breaking a bone in the back of her neck, supposedly from a fall. So, these sucker punches are not anything new. I have reason to believe that they are also coming from a hate group that is concealed within the sheriff's department, directed at my family. And once again, my family doesn't have any business with these people. It's impossible that they would know each other, because my family was bedridden for a large period of their lives. The only way you could possibly know them would be with the use of cybernetics, which I've told you before allows you to eavesdrop and to walk through walls and to see people and to do things like that. But they're not provocative people. It's not realistic that they would do something or be doing something to somebody else who's 25 miles away looking at them. Okay, so once again, I just want to make sure that people understand that it's not my behavior. I'm not bothering people. I don't harass people. I don't try to talk to people too often. Unless I'm out promoting Sov Romano, then you might see me with a speaker and trying to raise awareness of Sov Romano and things like that. This will go back to the Bureau and the Board of Supervisors and Internal Affairs to be aware of what people are doing. I have taught people how to You know, you can murder a person by sending one person to do the job, or you can murder a person by sending 20 people to do the job. And the way that works is one person harasses you to keep you single, and another one sucker punches you in the face. Another one harasses the girls away. Another person harasses you out of the workplace. Another one files a falsified police report. Another one breaks the meters on your company, or disables the Patreon, or disables the Twitter feed, or the meters on the Twitter. Somebody else breaks into your laptop. Somebody else slows down the Wi-Fi. And yet another person starts rumors about you around town. And last but not least, somebody else runs ahead of me with my ideas into the marketplace. And this isn't funny, horseplay, or innocent. This is a very calculated and premeditated theft and hate crime. It's what I call displacement capitalism. And I won't elaborate on that with you now. I've done that at the website. And as I've said before, there's about $2,000 to $3,000 worth of my ideas. They're at the website that I posted there for you, free of charge. So if you want to learn more about displacement capitalism, then you can go there to the website. So that's the reason why you may hear vitriol or hate speech from myself. It's a very legitimate reason for hate speech when you're the victim of hate crimes. It doesn't have anything to do with racism or anything like that. J.W. Grum works for Poland. Shin Bet works for Israel. MI6 works for England. CIA works for England, or some sort of a meta-state. Who does Sovrumano work for? I don't work for anyone. I work for everyone. I've told you that before. All right. I have put up there on the website before that I don't work for white lives, and I don't want my company or my life subverted to support white life. You should know what I mean by that by now. I don't have any racism in my body or anything like that. I'm referring to white supremacists, ethno-cops, occultists, thieves, you know, that kind of shit. It's important to remember that there is no one more responsible for harm to other human beings, to more wildlife, more farm life, our oceans, our natural resources, weapon proliferation from AK-47s to nuclear to atomic, BioWare or biometrics, treason against government, the illegal use of police equipment, theft of intellectual property, than Caucasian people. To the best of my knowledge, that is accurate. There's nobody even close to that. Now we have new fears about artificial general intelligence. All right. So where was I? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I had to restart the phone because it was running out of space. So I'm sorry about the glitch in the video. So as I was saying, these different intelligence agencies, they work for their respective countries and things like that. And that's good. That's what they're commissioned to do. My perspective is a little bit different from those agencies. And what I was getting at there is when looking at these different agencies, and when you look at what Caucasians are responsible for, but it's never published or talked about. Like, I listen to a lot of podcasts. One of them I like is the Future of Life Institute. And they talk about a lot of these different concerns. But they never really address some of the underlying causes for these fears, in my opinion. There could be a couple of reasons for that. They could say that they're just a foregone conclusion, so why go any deeper? And let's just assume that we're going to have these problems. Or they may be a party to them. And that's what I hear in the subtext once in a while. What I hear are apologists and rationalists for making these types of weapons and Frankensteinian, bioterror weapons and things like that they claim that they won't be able to keep a grip on. It's important to remember that when they are talking about mankind, they are not talking about themselves. They are talking about you, and they are talking about me. Satanists, to the best of my knowledge, Freemasons, and other occult groups who fall into that category, when they talk about mankind, they're not talking about themselves, because they themselves regard themselves as being half an animal or half a robot. Take a look at these two movie clips and tell me what you think. Remember, Freemasons and occultists and other white supremacist groups never see themselves as a part of mankind. They're always half animal, or they regard themselves as half a robot. Okay, so there's a couple of examples from popular cinema, or pop culture, as people would call it. Caucasians are never portrayed as being responsible for tornadoes and hurricanes and famines and pestilences and so forth. You usually see them portrayed as being very good looking, very modern, affluent, and climate is the result of stuff. And bioweapons are the result of stuff, and diseases are the result of stuff, and wars are the result of stuff. But it's never the result of Caucasians' activities, it's always the result of stuff. And the reason that they aren't perceived the way that they should be as culpable for a lot of our modern day problems is because there aren't any data sets to train your neural nets on. In other words, every time you turn on the television or listen to a podcast or the media, it's an info war, and there is a barrier there. It's lying by omission, and it's distraction that keeps you focused on the symptoms instead of the causes and how to address those causes to get at some of the symptoms. I'm not claiming that's going to solve all of our problems, or that it will handle most of them or whatever, but I believe that they're not really addressing the underlying causes for these problems. As long as you're addressing the symptoms, you're never going to get to the root issue, and the root issue is the activities of hate groups, white supremacist groups, and quasi-religious groups as they seek to act out their fantasies and use the United States or the next door neighbors or colored people or girls or women as props in their desires, or as a prop on their movie set or something like that. So, okay, you guys, that's gonna about wrap it up for this broadcast. I apologize, this one went a little longer than I thought it would, but hopefully it's a reminder of a few things. In closing, I wanted to urge Hollywood, the Producers Guild, the Screen Actors Guild, the Directors Guild and Writers Guild, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Chief of Police, the Board of Supervisors, the Sheriff's Department, and the U.S. Attorney General to please stop pretending to be investigating um, these crimes that are happening against my person and my family. I have been written into thousands of movies, magazines by Condé Nast, Bauer Publishing, Time Warner, all these magazines, Rolling Stone, Wall Street Journal, In Touch Magazine, OK Magazine, People Magazine, Us Weekly. I mean, I've been written into thousands of magazines and newspapers over the last 17 years. And it's impossible for the Bureau not to know who I am, where I am, or that I'm wrongly incarcerated or detained without due process, without an exit date, without an attorney, without an appeals court, and that I can't work anywhere because I'm harassed everywhere I go. And this is apparently being done for sport. I created my own company to work for. I am a self-made millionaire. And so what they did is they broke the company. They disabled the company, and the police are threatening people not to talk to me, not to patronize me, and things like that. Well, that's accessory to murder. It's a very simple case to prosecute. Who disabled the meters on my company's accounts at Patreon, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, Teespring, WordPress? I mean, whoever's doing all of that, there's your smoking gun. That's an accessory to murder. So please don't tell me that you can't get this case done before lunch today, because I know that you can. You're just not doing it, and something needs to be done. And that's all I really had to say, and it was just a few words to members of this community in these neighborhoods. I'm not speaking on behalf of all African American men or women. There are obviously very great African men and women out there, and there are some in Beverly Hills and some in Westlake Village where I used to work, and it's not an issue. But there's a lot of them who are not, and a lot of them are a problem, or they're aggressive, and they're not educated. But they're not the only category of person who's a problem. It's also the sheriff's department, and apparently it's Hollywood. And they've got some things in common with each other. I won't go into a lot of detail about my observations there. But suffice it to say that one of the things that they have in common is that none of them can go to medical school, grad school, or law school because of their backgrounds. Felony background checks, sex offenses, ruling against your own employer and losing millions of dollars. They made decisions on their own, and Sovromano went from a multi-billion-dollar valuation, and the state of California should have seen tens of millions of dollars in tax revenue. They won't see any of it now. Maybe they don't care, but probably the state of California does care. The time you're wasting is not your own. I should be speaking at Davos, or at the United Nations, or in Johannesburg, Africa, or in the Middle East, in Israel, or I should be speaking in Tibet or China. I should be speaking in Europe. I should be in St. Petersburg, Russia. I should be in Italy. I should be in France. Maybe I should be at the Astrodome in Texas. Maybe one of these days the phone is going to ring off the hook, and they're going to say, you know what, we really could have used him here for another day or for another 2 days. That such and such country is on the phone, and Japan is on the phone, and they want to know if they can book him for another day because they really need his help here. Or there's a lot of people here who wanted to talk to him, or somebody wanted to do a fundraiser here, and you took up all of that time for no reason, and all you did was abuse him and take pictures of yourself doing it. Now, you may not care, but there's 7 billion people out there who do care, and they're trapped in Abrahamic books and in the last era's doctrines, and that includes scientific racism, Nazism, white supremacy, Islam, Judaism, Freemasonry, and all of the Christian, Jehovah's Witness, Mormon, Catholic, Protestant, Southern Baptist, people who need assistance. That's what I was born to do. There's 2.5 trillion hours spent in prayer for me over the last 12 months alone. And it's nothing to play with, and it's nothing to joke about. You may be hiding in Beverly Hills, laughing your asses off or you may be hiding behind those mirrored windows downtown at the Bureau, laughing your asses off. I assure you, there is nothing funny about the abuse and things that you're guilty of, and allowing these lower races and these lower classes of people to get access to me, to my company, to touch me on the genitals using cybernetics, to break into my luggage and do a whole bunch of other things I don't have time to go into. And so that's all I'm trying to do, is smack some common sense into the authorities, and to realize you have an urgent situation on your hands that you need to address and get rectified. I don't work for white supremacists. I don't work for the United States. I don't support white life, and don't take that statement out of context. And I don't support a whole bunch of other lives either. But they're the principal thing at the forefront of my mind 24 hours a day, that they have to understand that people were not born, you know, to help you get along. I mean, you've got enough cheats and hacks helping you out to get along. I mean, a hack for a white man is by default a hack against everybody else. And the TV set's hacked, the movies are hacked, the music is hacked, the lyrics in the music is hacked, the TV commercials are hacked, the coloring books are hacked, the paperback novels are hacked, the Super Bowl halftime show is hacked, the NBA basketball games are supposedly hacked, the World Series of Poker is supposedly hacked, I got cybernetics in my ear, I get touched on the genitals. What else is hacked? What is not hacked for white Caucasian males? I mean, judicial pardons, $1 trillion deficits that will never be paid, not minding budgets in ecology, economics, natural resources, not honoring agreements, and so forth. And in my case, they're going to lose millions of dollars in. They couldn't care less. They don't have a care in the world except for themselves. But not all of us look at the world that way, and not all of us look at the United States of America that way. So it's just something to keep in mind. Not everybody is enamored with our movie stars, or America's movie star. Now, some kids are, and some kids are not. Some people are, and some people are not. It's like visiting a foreign country, and you recognize a movie star, but maybe you don't jump up and down because, you know, you happen to recognize an actor. And that's what it is for me. I'm not saying that's right or wrong or what you should do. I'm just saying that's for me. That's how I look at the United States. I'm not an American in that sense of the word. Okay, all right, I'll shut up now. This is more talking than I typically do. I know, I gotta be irritating by now. All right, that's it. Don't forget to support us, or support me. Supporting me is supporting us at paypal.me/SophRomano, and I'm trying to get Twitter to put